I was thinking about a popular archetype that came out with Neo Genesis called BabyPorter, where you use Dark Alakazam's Teleport Blast attack and deal the 30 damage, and then you swap out with a baby Pokemon on your bench. At the time, baby Pokemon had a rule where if they were attacked, your opponent had to flip a coin, and if tails, nothing happened. And so I started thinking, Fossil Haunter had a very similar ability to where your opponent had to flip a coin, and if tails, nothing happened. Plus, that bitch has a fighting resistance and free retreat. If Baby Porter was such a popular archetype, why was this not an archetype during the Rocket expansion era? Why did this never become a popular rogue deck? Am I the first person to ever think of this strategy? As it turns out, I'm not. As I was digging through the Pojo archives, I came across a few of these deck builds. And there are some very valid reasons for why this deck wasn't used more, but at the same time, I do feel like it's a very underappreciated deck for its time. So this is Baby Porter, but with a ghost, so I'm going to call it Spooky Porter. Let's get into what exactly this deck is, how it works, and why it might be good. The Rocket Abra is much better than base set Abra, so using a playset of those, and then I'll also have a full playset of the Dark Alakazam. Dark Alakazam mainly went unused at the time because it was a stage 2 that only had 60 HP, so it was almost not even worth using. Both of its attacks cost 3 energy, so it would take a while to set up as well. It was basically Gust of Wind bait. However, you are able to circumvent that with its Teleport Blast attack. If you use that attack, it just goes right back to your bench. It doesn't lose any energy, and it's not vulnerable to attack anymore unless your opponent does use Gust of Wind. 4 of the Fossil Ghastly, as well as 4 of the Fossil Haunter. Like I said earlier, it's got free retreat. So the idea is you use Dark Alakazam's Teleport Blast to go back to the bench, you bring out Haunter. Haunter only has a 50% chance of even being hit. Then you can free retreat back into Dark Alakazam, rinse and repeat until you've dealt enough damage to your opponent to win the game and get those 6 prizes. One Gengar in this deck from Fossil, because its ability can be useful, it almost serves as a plus power to help you put an extra 10 damage on whatever Pokemon you need. You can opt for 2 if you think you have room for it in the deck. 4 copies of the Boss's Way, make sure that you get that Dark Alakazam. Because I don't run any Dark Kadabra, you do need Pokemon Breeder in here, which lets you go straight from Abra to Dark Alakazam, given that you've already got it in your hand using Boss's Way. And I run 4 of those in here just because it's very important to get those Dark Alakazam out early. You do want to power up that Teleport Blast as fast as you can. Alakazam's other attack is also very useful. It's 4-3 energy as well. It deals 40 damage but ignores resistances so that you can actually 2-hit a Wigglytuff if you need to, as well as those other big basic normal types that have resistance to Psychic. Bill is in here as your basic draw power, as well as Professor Oak, just to help you get those cards in your hand as fast as possible. Like I said, you want to have that Dark Alakazam in your hand with a Pokemon Breeder, and you want to get those Haunters out as fast as you can so that you have your setup. If you can get a Haunter out first, that's ideal because you can stall out a little bit longer because of its transparency ability. Plus power is going to come in really handy with those Teleport Blasts. You're looking to deal about 70 damage to knock out most of the commonly used cards in the format. So being able to deal 30 and then 40 would be really helpful. If you can get all 4 of them in your hand, sure, you can Teleport Blast for 70 damage if you want to. Energy removal and super energy removal, just to stall out your opponent a little bit more early game, just to make sure they're not attacking you for heavy damage, since Haunter does have really low HP as well as the Dark Alakazam. Nightly Garbage Run helps you recycle a lot of cards. If you're having to discard Psychic energy just to make sure that you're keeping energy off of your opponent's cards, then Nightly Garbage Run can help you recycle those, as well as getting back the Pokemon that you need that really make this deck essential. Once the Rocket expansion came out, running 2 Garbage Run was basically a staple at the time. And then I'm going to top out the deck with 15 Psychic Energy. That's plenty enough energy to keep getting off those teleport blasts. Every now and then you may actually do a Dark Mind from a Gengar. That would be very rare though. But pretty good energy count. All around, a good balance between Pokemon Trainer and energy, I feel, for this deck. So why exactly wasn't this deck used more? The answer is Gust of Wind. And every deck that was hyper aggressive at the time, your Wigglytuffs, your Haymaker, your Potpourri decks, they all ran a full playset of Gust of Wind. That's how they got out their easy kills. And in this deck, those Dark Alakazams are so easy to knock off. And the problem with Haunter was not only its low HP, but also the fact that its ability stopped working whenever it had a special condition on it. And in this format, you did have things you would see every now and then, like the Sleep Trainer card, as well as Rocket Drowsy, Rocket's Dark Gloom, that could put special conditions on Haunter without actually attacking it. And although you are dealing solid chunks of damage with Teleport Blast, usually 30 or 40 with the help of plus power, it's not fast enough to really get the KOs that you need against things like Venusaur, Blastoise, Chansey, and it couldn't really do anything to Mr. Mime either. So although this is a really creative way to get around certain Pokemon, it just happened that the base set Alakazam was better in its own archetype of damage swap, which I do have a video about, so if you haven't watched that, pop on over there and do that. Also have another video to check out on the Sleepy Time deck, which used a base set Haunter in a much more consistent way than this Fossil Haunter works in this deck. As always, let me know down in the comments what you think about this deck, how you would maybe improve this deck to make it a little bit more viable in this format. And until next time, guys, bye! Ooh.